we are with a little bit of different content from our usual, but language learning is definitely not outside of our realm of. There we go. Realm of usual stuff. It's just that normally we play video games on Wednesday, and I just had a wild hair this week that I wanted to try something new and see. And honestly, I don't know what I'm doing, and I think that's okay for the purposes of this stream, because if I don't know what I'm doing and I share my screen as I'm working through the process of trying to figure out how to make something like this work, then maybe that might be helpful to somebody else who might not know how to do this. So it'll just be a process thing. I have to say, I'm not feeling very focused today. I'm feeling extremely not focused today. Something so new that Twitch didn't make a category for it just yet. Yes, there's no general language learning content. There's probably a study with me kind of thing. I didn't look for it. I just remembered that Sonia had used the Duolingo category for some more general language learning content, and I thought, that's reasonable. That's absolutely reasonable. The people who followed the Duolingo category are theoretically, potentially interested. Let's try moving that lamp. I like that better. It feels better. It was really in my face. I wasn't enjoying that. Okay. So, step one for me is going to be not showing you so much of my ceiling, because that's not necessary. How's everybody doing? Are you doing all right? I'm not sure I'm 100% doing all right, but I have some hydration, and I'll take a break and get a cup of tea if I need to. And why do I have my music on? Okay, let's try and find that and turn it off. Okay. Not doing music today. I wouldn't mind, but it's just not the category I chose for today. Okay, so step one for me is going to be opening up Chrome. I'm going to use Chrome for this. It's not the only way to do things. But for the purposes of this particular situation, I'm gonna choose Chrome. Let's see. Step two is sharing that with you, which will look like that. Very good. Very good. Okay. Alrighty. Let's just start with turning off my Esperanto keyboard. I'm going to start with this. And see how that goes. All right, let's see what it would take to try GPT Plus. $20 a month. I don't really want to do that for the purposes of this stream. I kind of want to see what maybe let's do something else here. Okay. All right, we can do all these steps. This is fine. This is fine, no problem. I can do that in a separate window. Theoretically. Nope. Nope, did it wrong. Nope, did it wrong again. It's really not going that great. So this is not the right one. That's not my Gmail address. That's somebody else's. Mine goes the other way around. Let's try again. When it doesn't show up, then you know you've done it wrong. All right. And I have to give them a phone number. It seems like a lot. Can't start a new account. That's frustrating. You can have a maximum of 2 unique OpenAI accounts per phone number. Got it. We'll just sign back in on this one. All right, I'm sorry, you guys. Kay, welcome in. I had blocked the chat window while I was trying to figure out how to sign into this. And so I think we're going to be okay now. Welcome in. Kay's jumping in here from Tux's community. Hello, Tux. Hello, Kay. Waters here. Hello. And Constellazio, welcome in. I am experimenting with ChatGPT today, and now I'm going to try not blocking the chat because it makes it harder for me to chat with you guys when I can't read the chat. All right, so let's try this. The challenge with ChatGPT is your results vary based on the kind of prompts you use. And I'm not an expert at creating prompts, but I have played with ChatGPT a little bit, and I have found that I have best success when I'm really specific about my expectations. And wording that in the form of a role play game seems to work pretty well for me. So I'm going to say, you are an experienced language, let's say French language teacher. I am I don't actually know what my level in French is. B1 level student. Please help me practice ordering at a cafe. Let's have a conversation make sure to double check our conversation for accuracy. That will help ChatGPT check itself and me also. Yes, the tippy taps. We love little tippy taps. They're the best. Not done yet. Let's see. After I reply, please give me brief feedback in English and then continue the conversation in French. You start. Bien sûr, je serai ravie de t'aider à pratiquer à la commande dans un café. Allons-y. Serveur. Oh, okay, so it has completely misunderstood what I wanted. So we have to try again. Let's try again. You will play the role of the server and I will play the role of the customer. Don't answer for the customer, but give me brief feedback in English about my French after I reply. You only play the role of the server. Please begin. Okay, I'm not going to read any of that because it's going to give away answers that I'm supposed to come up with in my head. Bien sûr, commençons à nouveau. Serveur, bonjour, bienvenue au Café Élégant. Comment puis-je vous assister aujourd'hui? Hello? Where's my... There it is. Bonjour. Okay. I'm going to put my exclamation mark right next to the word. This isn't how they do it in French. I want to see whether it gives me feedback about the placement of the exclamation mark or whether it just says, oh, well, this is a B2 level learner. It doesn't matter. Will a French person understand you if you don't put a space in front of the exclamation mark? Yes, they will. But as you can see, there's a space in front of the exclamation mark. And there's a space in front of the question mark, because that's how you do the interpunctio. What is that in English? Punctuation in French. Ever have that problème quand on pense en deux langues at the same time? It's a little, yeah. Bonjour. Je voudrais boire un café s'il vous plaît. I'm leaving off the accent in café to see if they tell me anything about it. Bonjour, bien sûr, je serai ravi de vous servir un café. Quel type de café aimeriez-vous? Nous avons des espressos, des cafés au lait, et des cafés noirs, par exemple. Feedback. Great start. Your sentence was clear and you communicated your desire for a coffee. Just a small correction. It should be boire un café with an accent, comma, s'il vous plaît, with a circumflex on the play, instead of je voudrais boire un café s'il vous plaît. So they're saying don't say I would like, because what they said wasn't actually a whole sentence. Serveur says, Parfait. Et comment préférez-vous votre café? Plutôt fort, léger ou quelque part entre les deux? Okay, so I'm not seeing any problems with their French, but the feedback seems a little iffy. Let's continue the conversation just a little bit longer. I do think it's interesting that they're correctly switching back and forth between the French style of punctuation and the American style of punctuation, because they say great start exclamation mark in the feedback without a space in front of it. So that's making it work. I actually cannot write French punctuation with my keyboard on this computer. It's not cannot, it's I have not installed what is necessary for me to do that. When I have to write in another language, I just use my phone because I use a keyboard that gives me all of the options that I want, just by long press on the key and then choose that letter with whichever kinds of whatever kinds of accents or whatever. So I haven't really done a lot of language studying on my computer. I've mostly been using my phone so far. Is this only for French? Saluton neben. I don't know punctuation in a lot of other languages. French is the only language that I know that has that style of punctuation. Spanish and German. I don't think Portuguese uses it, but I'm not 100% sure. Italian, to my knowledge, doesn't. What about you all? What other languages do you know? And is there a difference in the punctuation? Maybe I'll learn something extra. I usually learn things from chat. Oh, that's really refreshing. I put in some tea that's mostly lemon balm and mint from the garden, but also some tea. Well, that's the question, Constellatio. Of the languages that we don't know, are there any that has a space between the end of the sentence and the exclamation mark, or between the end of the sentence and the question mark? We don't know where else we find it when it comes to languages that we don't know. But I know that there are people in chat who speak some of those languages. So I'm trying to phrase it as a question, so that we can see if people have any knowledge that we don't have to share with us. Okay, so the serveur says, parfait. Et comment préférez-vous votre café? Plutôt fort, quali ou saluton? Léger ou quelque part entre les deux? Let me try again with a je voudrais to see if they just really hate me starting out with I would like. No, I'm using the Duolingo category to say that this content is language learning content, because we don't have a lot of options for just straight up language learning content. But Duolingo is followed by people who are interested in language learning content. So, je voudrais un café assez fort avec du lait, mais pas de sucre. Merci. Okay, they are not correcting my punctuation in French. They've in fact repeated my error here. They say your sentence was clear and you managed to convey your preferences accurately. Actually, I didn't because I don't want coffee with milk, but that's okay. Je voudrais un café assez fort. They're adding the accent that I left off. What other mistakes? Avec du lait, mais sans sucre. All right, I said pas de, no, none. And they say without, sans. Okay. There's something to keep in mind. That's a correct correction. This is a lack of correction here. The space in front of the punctuation. Is it really, really important? Maybe not. But I find it interesting that ChatGPT knows about it, uses it correctly, but doesn't correct me even though I asked for corrections. Spanish says water uses an opening symbol at the beginning of a sentence. Is that for all sentences or just for the sentences with a question mark or an exclamation mark? Like Constellacio says, okay. Yes, I find it very useful. And I think it would be great if other languages adopted the same thing. Because then when you start a sentence, you already know what tone of voice to read it in, as opposed to you get to the end of the sentence and you realize, oh shoot, I didn't read that aloud with the right intonation for the punctuation. So I think it's brilliant, and I wish all languages did that. There have been times when I've kind of adopted it and used it in other languages, but it's not normal to do that. But then again, I'm not normal, so it's okay. I don't have to be normal. Okay, so they're giving me the correction, but they're not really explaining what my error was. So let me request a little bit more in different feedback. When you give me feedback, please explain my mistake like a teacher would, rather than only giving me the correct response. Correct sentence. Also, please correct my punctuation and capitalization. All right, so capitalization and punctuation do vary from language to language. Like in German, nouns are capitalized. In English, proper nouns are capitalized. So there is a difference. In English, days of the week are capitalized. In Esperanto, they're not. So they do say je voudrais is fine, even though they told me before that I should leave it out. That's not consistent, but it's correct this time. You correctly use un café. I did not. I didn't put the exclamation mark. Assez fort conveys you want the coffee to be fairly strong. Avec du lait is perfectly fine, indicating you'd like milk in your coffee. So this is no good. In my opinion, this is not great. I think the problem is that I'm using ChatGPT 3.5 and I really need to be using ChatGPT 4 in order to get anything of value out of this. Because I asked it to explain my mistakes, but instead they explained each part of the grammar of the sentence. And I did not say sans sucre. I said pas de sucre. Oh, wait, no. I said sans sucre, and they said you should say... Hang on. No, I said pas de sucre, and they said you should say sans sucre. That's fine. But here they are saying I said sans sucre, which I didn't. Google's Bard. I was kind of hoping, well, we can add that in. I was kind of hoping that this would work, and I don't feel ready to give up on it yet, because there's some plugins that I want to try and I haven't looked into plugins for Google Bard at all. I would like to try a plugin so that I can get feedback on my pronunciation, and actually talk with and hear the AI. So that might also be possible with Google Bard, and I could just Google that as we go and see if there's a plugin for that. It says I punctuated the sentence well, but then it says merci, and they show the space in front of the exclamation mark, as if I said that. So here's the corrected version of your sentence with explanation. So they corrected it, and then they explained the correction rather than explaining the mistake. Let's try this. Here's the explanation of the mistakes. Café should be café with an accent over the E. This is what I'm looking for. You missed the comma after fort, which is necessary to separate the different parts of the order. Instead of pas de sucre, it should be sans sucre to indicate without sugar. The punctuation at the end should be a period instead of an exclamation mark. Interesting. So I still didn't get it to tell me that I needed to put a space in front of an exclamation mark, but all of the others this is what I was hoping for. So again, you get out of an AI what you put into it, and if you don't know how to ask it for what you want, then you're not going to get what you want. I find it fascinating that if I'm patient enough to keep rewording what I want, I eventually can get what I want. So those are the kind of explanations that I want. Rhetorical questions in Spanish has an upside down comma, upside down question mark in front of it. Cool. Yeah, let's look at this for a second. Water is pointing out how sometimes porque is 2 words and sometimes it's 1 word. And I find that really fascinating, and I want to dive in there a little bit. When you're asking, why not? It's 2 words. And when you're answering, it's 1 word. The por and the que are separate when it's followed by no or because it's a question. When it's why, it's 2 words, and when it's because, it's 1 word. Is that right? Auntie, saluton, hello. Tuck says you kind of have to prod the model a bit to get what you want. Most of the time I've had to do that with programming prompts as well. Yeah. So basically I feel like I'm spending more time learning how to talk to ChatGPT than I am learning how to speak French, right? But that's okay, because like my entire goal today is to just test some things out and see what works and how. Kutime mi ni povas mallongigi porque and por. Oh. I've definitely heard porfa as a shortened form of por favor, but I hadn't heard just por. Okay, why is two words, porque, with an accent on the K? And because is one word, porque, without an accent on it. That part I had forgotten. Oh, these things are so fascinating. All right, I feel a sense of completion about this practice here. I feel like we can maybe go on to something else. Let's try getting it to help me with some vocabulary study and translation practice. I'm going to switch to Spanish. I don't really know what my level of Spanish is. I'm going to say B2 just so that it pushes me a little bit. I don't know for sure that I'm B2. I probably was at least B2, but that was a very, very, very long time ago. So I'm just going to call myself a B2 level student. Please provide me with a list of 20 words on the topic of... Guys, do you have any suggestions for a topic? I have some ideas, but I kind of thought it would be fun maybe to do this together. I'm going to give you a few minutes before I jump in. On the topic of comedy movies, okay. Anybody else? Types of humor, foods. Okay. These are like really broad categories. Let's just make a poll. I'm gonna start a poll. Topic: comedy, baking, painting. Let's just make it a 2-minute poll. Okay, I can wait. Don't worry. I can reject it. There. Refund. Refund. Yes, yes. Whoops. Now I know. Now I know. Gonna have to watch you. All right. We've got 2 votes for baking. Alana to the rescue. I'm gonna need to take a break pretty soon. One vote for painting. I have a snack. Maybe that'll help me get through. Nightbot says hydration. Yep, yep. Tux says hydration. Yevia sano. Thank you, Tux. We're tying it up as we do. Okay. You all tied it up for baking or painting? I'm gonna do painting. Okay, so this is cool. It answered the whole thing in Spanish. As I said, let's switch languages. There we go. Now I'm going to ask it, please give me an example sentence with the word pintura. I'm going to put it for me to translate to English. Give me brief feedback about my translation the way an expert teacher would. Okay, it's jumping ahead a little bit. Buon appetito, Kaliu. All right, it's jumping ahead a little bit. At least it didn't give me the translation. But it gave me feedback before I gave the translation, and it did it in a way that makes me very cognizant of a problem with ChatGPT, and that is that ChatGPT is very eager to please. It has no idea whether or not I'm going to translate it well, but it was very happy to tell me good job anyway. So that's basically in my mind, a flaw that ChatGPT has, that it's so eager to please that it's going to try to guess what you want to hear before, and that if it makes a mistake, it might be a mistake because it's just trying to make you happy, and I'd rather it be accurate. Okay, now I will try to translate the sentence you gave me. Please give me useful and accurate feedback about my translation. The quote, the museum has an impressive collection of famous paintings. Your translation is excellent. You accurately captured the meaning and structure of the original sentence. The use of impressive collection of famous paintings effectively conveys the idea from the Spanish sentence. Well done. Please give me an example sentence to translate with the word lienzo. I have no idea what it means. I have no idea what lienzo means. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. But I'm hoping that in the context of a whole sentences, I will have an idea. Of course, here's the example sentence for you to translate. El artista estaba trabajando en un lienzo enorme de un paisaje montañoso. Okay, I understand all of the words except for lienzo. Okay, this is a bit of a torture from a tiny phone screen. Oh no, yes, absolutely torture. All right, let's see. The artist, I find it interesting that it's El Artista. Interesting. Estaba. It's difficult for me as an Esperanto speaker who has been spoiled by learning a language that doesn't have any gender markers on nouns whatsoever, except when absolutely necessary. Control plus plus. Yeah, let's do it again. Whoa. That's a lot. Okay. The artist. I switched to Spanish halfway through my translation. Was working in. Okay, the fact that the word de is there. I was thinking, okay, what if lienzo, don't tell me, what if lienzo means like an artist's workshop? There's a word for that in English. The place where an artist goes to do their art stuff. Unintentional code switching. Indeed, Tux. Thank you for your tip. I had a feeling, I almost voiced my thought. I wonder if there's a way I can make my screen show larger font, but yes, I can. Cool. The artist was working in a I was thinking to myself, what if it's the place where an artist does their stuff? But then the day doesn't make sense. Like, the day is completely throwing me off and making me think that my guess is incorrect. An enormous something of a mountain. So the N might be what we say in English in, but it also might be what we say in English on. I'm not going to refer to a dictionary yet. I'm trying to use contextual clues to figure it out. And I know this is not testing ChatGPT. This is testing me. But hey, I'm doing both things at once here. I'm thinking the lienzo might be a type of a painting. And it might have to do with, it might be a landscape. Let's try it. The artist was working on an enormous landscape painting of a mountainous. I know what this word means, but I want to say that's a landscape too. The landscape, the countryside. Let's just try countryside. I'm going to get all this wrong. Okay, they both mean landscape. So one is a landscape painting and the other one is a actual landscape. Paisaje, I understand. No problem. That's the actual, like, you look out your window when you're on vacation and you see the beautiful countryside. It's a landscape. It might be mountains, it might be the ocean. Well, then it's a seascape. But whatever, you know what I mean. But a lienzo is a painting of a landscape. Water. Stop biting your tongue. Confirm. Landscape painting and just landscape. A canvas? Well then, in that case, ChatGPT is not very helpful. ChatGPT wants to tell you what you want to hear. And that's why I tend to tell it multiple times, please double check yourself for accuracy. I didn't remind it of that since we switched to Spanish. Water, can you say more words other than hey? About lienzo. Is lienzo a landscape painting or a canvas? Okay, Water's being a smart aleck. I would ask ChatGPT to double check its work. Let's try it. Only pretend ban. But we want to know if ChatGPT can get it right, right? This is worse. This is worse. Oh. I hate it. I hate it. The answer is ChatGPT 3.5 is not ready to do this. No. But the thing is, if I didn't have you all here, I wouldn't know what I didn't know. Therefore, ChatGPT 3.5 is not going to be my friend in helping me study Spanish. However, I do want to try a plugin to try using it as a conversation partner. Can we try moving? Okay, let's see what I can do here. That's good. Clarion, Durian, Saluton, Bonvenon. Duolingo has some abilities to have your spoken language evaluated. And it's not the only app that does, but when we can do that, without a paid app, that'll be cool. Duolingo is actually quite useful in the unpaid version. Because the main difference between the two, besides not having to look at ads, is the number of mistakes you can make before you need to take a break. And frankly, I think that's a good thing with language learning. You should have breaks structured in. It'll help you learn. So I think that's okay. We're going to look for let's see. There's supposed to be a plugin tab. I don't necessarily have access. I have to sign up for a wait list. Okay, so that's unfortunate. I was kind of hoping that I could just install the plugin right away. But I will sign up for the wait list and see if we can't get access and give it a try, because I've heard about people using the plugin to speak and listen for language practice, and I think ChatGPT might be a little bit better at that, at just being a conversation partner, because it's not doing a really great job at being a teacher, unfortunately. I think I can make this even a little bit bigger and better, though. And move it. I can do more. Nope, that's max. Okay. So we'll just go like that. And that looks horrible, and that's fine. Okay. So let's try Google Bard. And see how we go here. First, let me look. Updates. Please tell me what languages. It doesn't tell me. Okay, we'll just ask Bard what languages does it know. It can translate, but that doesn't mean it can use. English, French, Spanish, German, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Russian, Portuguese, Italian, Dutch, Polish, Turkish, Hindi, Arabic, Vietnamese, Indonesian, Thai, Swedish, Finnish, Danish, Norwegian, Greek, Hebrew, Hungarian, Czech, Slovak, Romanian, Bulgarian, Ukrainian. Let's see if it knows any Esperanto at all. Okay. Despite the fact that it did not list Esperanto, it will speak with me in Esperanto. Let me just double check whether we can make it bigger. We can. Okay. And then I can move this over here. All right, let's pick a topic, friends. Let's get some suggestions in the chat, and we're just going to test the conversation ability and see, because we're not going to ask it to act as a teacher for Esperanto because it didn't even list Esperanto as a language that it can translate into or out of at all. So we're in uncharted territory. I'm going to try and keep my expectations to only can it have a conversation. So far, no errors in the 2 sentences that it has said so far. We'll have a vote for conversation topic. If we can get some people to throw out some suggestions, and if not, then I'll throw out some suggestions and let you all vote. Let me start setting up a poll. We can begin with some of the suggestions from before. Topic: sweet and savory pies. Conversation with immigration. Oh, I'll just type immigration. Because I can't type as long of something as I would like to. Haha dogs, hello. I'm really gonna need to take a break. I think before we have this conversation with Google Bard, I'm gonna need to take a break. Make a cup of tea. I can make a longer poll while I have a break. I'm gonna make it a 4-minute poll, 5-minute poll, because I need time to boil the kettle. Any other suggestions for a topic for a conversation in Esperanto? What about bands? Esperanto bands. Plants. We have room for one more suggestion. Tux, does Bard have access to recent information? Or is it limited to stuff that happened in 2020 and before? It does have access? Okay. I'm gonna throw in Water's suggestion because we already have an Esperanto topic. All right. I'm gonna allow additional votes with channel points, and I'm gonna have a 5-minute poll. I'm gonna run an ad while I am making a cup of tea, and then we'll have this conversation with Bard when I get back. See you in a few minutes. All right, I'm back. I realized that given my feeling of unfocusedness, maybe a cup of tea was not going to be sufficient. So I got a bowl of coconut yogurt with fruit salad, and I made myself a coffee that is a cold brew coffee that I make really, really strong, and then I added coconut milk powder and pat of butter. Don't knock it till you try it, in coffee or in tea. And a little bit of water, just because I didn't feel like being punched in the teeth with my coffee this time. Yep. Needed snack for sure. The coffee should also help. I try not to have a second cup of coffee, but hopefully this will do the trick. So what was the result of the poll? Hello, Mrs. B. We are playing with ChatGPT today, and we talked with ChatGPT about language learning, and it did not go well. So we've switched over to talking with Google Bard, and we're trying something new, something different with Google Bard, and then we're gonna try some of the similar things that we tried with the ChatGPT to see how Google Bard does. My takeaway from the ChatGPT experiment was I probably needed to pay for 4.0 in order to get the results that I wanted, because I was using the free version, 3.5. It did not go very well. So it was pretty good at producing error-free content in the languages that I tried. I only tried French and Spanish before I got too frustrated and decided to try something else. But it was not good at being a teacher. Even though I tried to craft my prompts, I found that I needed to continuously reword my prompts in order to get what I wanted from it. And that is not necessarily ChatGPT's fault. That's the fact that I am not an expert prompt engineer. I would like to get better at it. If anybody knows of any actually reputable courses in prompt engineering, I'd be interested, because I've run across some that are from disreputable websites, and I'm not going there. It sounds like a bad relationship. Yeah, I decided to date elsewhere, let's just say. You guys, Mrs. B did the coolest stream the other day. Mrs. B is an expert beekeeper. But Mrs. B's Mr. B is a certified master beekeeper, and part of being a master X, Y, or Z means that you have a responsibility to educate the public. And so Mr. Beekeeper did a workshop basically about beekeeping, and it was awesome. I enjoyed it so much. Thank you so much, Mrs. Beekeeper, for bringing us the educational content. It was wonderful. I loved it. And Water, I'm pretty sure that it's still viewable. Mrs. B, it's up there, right? There's the VOD is. He did the same talk for 200 people the next night. So we got to be the guinea pigs. We were the practice session. Was it an online talk or an IRL talk? The VOD should be up. Yes. Okay. Definitely check it out, Water. It's really, really cool. It was online and there were 200 people. Was it on your channel? Did you have 200 people watching the? Tell me more. What was the venue is the question I'm trying to get to. I would really love to be doing more self-sufficiency things. It was for a bee club. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. But I'm so glad he was willing to bring the content to your platform as well, because I never would have found it with the bee club, right? He's a very well-known beekeeper in your province. Understandable. When you're a master beekeeper, you get well-known because you have to go out there and talk to the public. I know of a lot of people who like have a lot of knowledge in a certain area, and like theoretically they could go through that program and become a master, whatever it is, but they're too concerned about their public speaking skills to try. And it's unfortunate that we don't get to get all of that good info and knowledge. I think part of why, let me start this sentence over. One of the real main reasons why I started streaming was because there is not enough content in and about Esperanto. And I don't consider myself to be the right type of person to be a YouTuber or be a streamer or whatever. But I knew that as an Esperanto teacher, whatever I could do to encourage more people to be content creators would help everyone. Korako. Korandan konkara. I appreciate you so much. So I decided that I had to start streaming or YouTubering or something, because I needed to encourage other people. And if I'm not doing it, how am I going to tell other people they need to do it, right? I can't. I'm trying to be the example of like, look at me, come on. I'm not your typical streamer, but if I can do it, you absolutely can do it. And we need you to do it, right? Like even if you're just still learning Esperanto, you still can incorporate that into your stream and be an inspiration to other people who are just learning Esperanto. So, I think there are a lot of people that start learning the language out of a like intellectual interest, but if they don't wind up getting connected with the community and learning about the culture, then maybe it doesn't stick because they don't make the friendships. But we have everything we need to connect with each other online in ways that we could not do when I was a learner. So I'm so happy and excited that that exists, but we're not making good enough use of it yet. Mrs. B says, I 100% feel the same in all the things I do. I don't want to just be interesting. I want people to be interested and learn and do. Yes, so Mrs. B is in the same category as me with the educational content and everything. Oh, Tux. You guys, Tux, can I tell the people about the things and stuff? Tux. Can I tell them? Can I tell them what we're doing? Okay, you guys, Tux and I started working together last night. We're doing a trade. So Tux has been starting to learn Esperanto, and they made a goal. She made a goal for herself. Right at the beginning, I'm going to stream. At the end of the summer, I'm going to stream in Esperanto. I'm going to do a whole stream in Esperanto. Mrs. B, thank you so much for stopping in and hanging out with us and talking with us about the educational stuff. I appreciate you and your stream so very much. Mrs. B does a lot of fiber arts stuff, and fiber arts is one of my special interests that I have not been participating in for a really long time, so I'm vicariously enjoying through Mrs. Beekeeper, which is wonderful. But I found 4 balls of yarn in a box yesterday that are for my favorite hat pattern, so I might have to knit that hat again before winter comes around again. So Tux has a goal to stream in Esperanto at the end of the summer, and self-study has progressed things a certain amount, but sometimes it helps to consult with an actual teacher. So I'm jumping in and helping with that. And it's a trade because I needed help getting a website set up. And Tux's special skill set is in the technology, the technologies. And so Tux and I sat down and helped each other with our mutual and respective goals. And it just worked out so very well because we have really similar ways of looking at things and ways of thinking about things and ways of doing things. So it just worked out really well. Solune saluton, constellatio coram dankon pro tio. LiberaPay is a little bit like Patreon, you guys, but it's designed for incremental support of artists, irrespective of, it's not in exchange for a thing. Like the way Patreon is set up, they have different tiers and they say, okay, if you support me at this tier, I will give you this thing, whatever the artist or creator comes up with. And LiberaPay is more designed for incremental support for an artist not connected with a specific compensatory package. Why am I having trouble with words right now? Korako started the same way. I was learning for mental stimulation, but one day I had an overwhelming desire to use the language with others, so I started a Twitter account. Perfect. And since then, Esperanto has become more and more important in my life, and I made the bestest friends through Esperanto. And it started with you creating something. You made something and put it out there in the world, and people appreciated that and turned around and expressed their appreciation and became friends and all that kind of thing. It's so wonderful. And the thing about the Esperanto community, Onyx, hello, 123, welcome in. Welcome to here. We do language learning stuff today, and sometimes we do music, and sometimes we play video games, and today we're doing the language nerding. So Lune, I'm so glad to hear that. Why did I put this tissue away when I wasn't actually all the way done blowing my nose? I was just hopeful that I was done blowing my nose. Excuse me. There we go. So I've derailed myself entirely. Maybe that's because I've already made my point sufficiently. But we have to make and do things for our own betterment in the language. Once you've learned the basics, in order to progress further, using the language to do something, to participate in something, to create something that you care about is the next step. And if you do that, it'll turn around and attract like-minded people to you as well. And Esperanto, the community is so thin on the ground. We're a diaspora. We're so spread out that anything you do is going to be, no matter what your field of study or interest or expertise is, you're going to be one of few people, relatively few people, being a creator in Esperanto in that on that topic, right? So whatever it is that you know about, your knowledge is desperately needed to expand our knowledge as a community, right? Because I'm lucky. I speak English as my native language. I have access to a ton of information through the internet. But for people who don't speak English as a native language, then they're at a disadvantage to learning that information. Esperanto is a language that not everybody learns, but for those people who do, it opens so many doors to learn about people's lives all over the world, to make friends and connect with colleagues all over the world. And the more we can expand our knowledge base inside of Esperanto, the literature that's been written in Esperanto, both fiction and nonfiction, is enormous. Considering the speaker base, the number of books that have been published is huge, and it's had a few waves. Like the 30s, it was absolutely huge. Unfortunately, both of the two world wars did really severely and permanently affect the trajectory of Esperanto in the world, and that's just facts. There's nothing we can do about it except be aware of that in the history and know that what we do matters even more now than it did before because of the damage that was done. I'm not going to go into details because that's a really, really dark topic. Korako says 99% of Esperantistoi are the types of people to write a Wikipedia article. I mean, yeah. And I'm so glad that Wikipedia has evolved the way it has, because I remember when it first came out and our teachers all warned us, whatever you do, don't use it as a reference for a paper because you can't trust that stuff. But with some notable exceptions, as Tux hilariously pointed out to me last night, Wikipedia has definitely come a long way from the early days, for sure. And there certainly are a few people who have done the lion's share of work on the Esperanto Wikipedia. The Burger King fiasco, says Tux, yes. The heckin' world wars and that one French diplomat. Nope, too bitter. I can't go there. Let's go back to having a conversation. Does anybody remember what the poll decided? Because I didn't see the result. Unfortunately, the poll result comes and then it goes away. And not even the streamer is shown what the result was. It would be super helpful if when we have a poll, if Ahmad could type the results of the poll in the chat. But at this point, even if somebody had done that, that was way back when. I'm scrolling back to see if anybody happened to do that. Not consensus is what was delivered. Okay, looks like, I don't know. Plants or Esperanto bands? Okay, we're going to give it a try with the Esperanto bands, and let's see what happens. I need to change my keyboard. There we go. Ok, ni diskutu pri muzikgrupoj en Esperantujo. Kiuj estas la plej aŭskultindaj muzikgrupoj en Esperantujo laŭ vi? Ah, okay, that's interesting. I asked it, can you speak with me in Esperanto? It answered, yes, I can speak with you in Esperanto. Do you want to talk about something specific in Esperanto? And then I asked it another question and it says it can't. Let's see. Let's try again. Because oftentimes the first attempt is not correct. Huh. All right, well, Esperanto isn't on its list. So, I'm not surprised. Let's scroll back up and pick another language. let's try Swedish. We're going to start by saying, let's play a game. And then we word the whole thing as a role-playing question. It's really interesting that it kind of can, but it kind of can't. So I'm not surprised it's not listed as a language that it knows, but it gave me 2 perfect sentences in Esperanto. Fascinating, right? It supposedly can't, but it kind of can. You are an expert teacher of Swedish. I am an A1 level student. Let's have a conversation in which you speak Swedish and I speak English. The topic is plants. You begin. Sure. I'd love to play that game with you. Hej, jag heter Bard och jag är en expertlärare i svenska. Jag är glad att du vill lära dig svenska. Idag ska vi prata om växter. Hello, my name is Bard and I'm an expert Swedish teacher. So glad you want to learn Swedish. Today we will talk about plants. Please do not translate your sentences to English unless I ask you to. Please translate my sentences to Swedish after I respond to you. Can you give me advice about the best houseplants for indoor air quality in... Hang on, let me change where I'm going to put that in Swedish. Advice in Swedish. Now, I am not telling it that it's an expert at plants. I'm telling it it's an expert at teaching Swedish. So we might get some incorrect stuff about plants here. I don't care about that. I want correct Swedish. And my Swedish isn't that great. So, sure, I can do that. Visst kan jag det. Vad vill du veta om inomhusväxter som är bra för luftkvaliteten? It's not what I wanted. It's not what I asked for. It's the other thing. It's the opposite of what I asked for. It's not it. Okay, look. They gave me the words in Swedish for these plants. Ormbunke, spindelväxt, fredsliljor, kalaväxt, plattar. I'm sorry, my Swedish is really not good, but Bard isn't helping me that much. They're giving me a whole bunch of stuff in English. Let's start over. I'm an A1 level beginner in Swedish, and you are an expert Swedish teacher. Let's have a conversation. I'll begin. Please correct me if I make any mistakes, and make sure to double check yourself so as to not make any mistakes in Swedish. Okay, let's begin. Hej, jag heter Alena. Poop. What person? So I have barely worked with Bard at all. So the way that I'm crafting these prompts are the way that I craft prompts for ChatGPT. So it's possible that Bard AI expects prompts to be done in a completely different way, for which I do not have the experience. So I'm just going to keep trying. Hej, jag heter Bard och jag... Okay, this is the same thing. Idag ska prata om växter. Okay, now we're back to talking about plants. Jag lär mig på. Now I need a circle above the A, but I don't know how to do that on my computer keyboard, so I'm hoping they'll correct me. Hej, jag lär mig på svenska. Kan du hjälpa mig? Hej Alena, jag kan hjälpa dig att lära dig svenska. Vad vill du prata om? Okay, that's fine. Let's have an A1 level conversation in Swedish. Jag American. I have no idea what the ending. I'm defaulting to Russian because I don't know how to say that in Swedish, so it'll hopefully fix me. Please don't translate into English. Okay, we can. Okay. Sip of my coffee. Okay, vi kan prata svenska. Du är amerikanska. Okay. Instead of telling me I made a mistake and telling me what it should be, Bard used the correct form in a sentence. That is honestly the best way of correcting a student's mistakes. There's unfortunately way too much correcting of other people's mistakes in the Esperanto community. Well, I kind of like draft 1 best. But this doesn't show the translation, and yet the translation is here. So maybe Bard always translates everything they do in other languages, because so far they have. Nope, they didn't right here. Okay. They don't have to translate into English. Jag tycker det Sverige how do you say is? Looking for the word is bra. Bra. Det är kul att höra att du tycker om Sverige. Jag tycker också att det är ett bra land. Det är vackert. Här, I'm not looking at the translation. Här en bra kultur och vänliga människor. Okay, I think that says good. That's cool to hear what you think about Sweden. I also think that it is a good country. It is beautiful. It has a good culture and many people. Friendly people. Ah, yes, vänliga. Okay. There, it's still translating. Still translating. The end is near 1723. Welcome in. It's good to have you here. We're experimenting, trying to use AI to help us learn languages. It's going bumpily. Is that a word? We're making it a word. We're making it a word today. Bumpily is how it's going. We've tried ChatGPT 3.5, and I think I needed ChatGPT 4.0 to do what I wanted to do, but I thought, let's see what we can do with the free version, and I didn't love it. And now we're talking with Bard, and it's also not going great, but it's not horrible. It's somewhat infuriating because I haven't figured out how to get it to do what I want and to not do what I don't want. Let me try wording it another way. Please do not type any words in English at all, even if I use English, until I ask you to change languages from Swedish. Vad är det som du tycker mest om i Sverige? Jag tycker mest det Sverige är en vackert land, right? My level of Swedish is super minimal, so I'm struggling here, and that's the point. I want to see, does this feel like I can make some progress in practicing? And I think so far, yeah, kind of, a little bit, even though I'm struggling with how to make prompts for the AI to get it to do exactly what I want it to do. It's still kind of helpful. I'm feeling like both of these AIs have been reasonably good at presenting me with relatively error-free content in the language that I'm trying to get it to help me with. Not so great at following instructions or correcting my mistakes, but perhaps maybe more as a conversation partner. Maybe. I'm trying not to look at the English translation because I want to challenge myself. It says, okay, I will not type any words in English, even if you use English. And then it goes ahead and does it again. Jag tycker också att Sverige ett vackert land. Because my level is so basic, it's starting to repeat itself. Det här mycket natur och vackra städer. I think that means states. Jag tycker också om den svenska kulturen och de vänliga människorna. So I think this says, and I'm not looking at the translation. I also think that Sweden is a beautiful country. It has a lot of nature and beautiful states, maybe cities. Okay. I think also, I like. Tycker is like, not think. I like that. I also like that Sweden is a beautiful land. I also like den, to me sounds like about, but I think we'd have to translate it as that. Not looking. The Swedish culture and the friendly people. Okay. I think Sweden is a beautiful country. Beautiful cities. Okay. Cities, not states. I also like Swedish culture and the friendly people. Vad det som du tycker mest om det I den svenska kulturen? And I really don't understand that construction, but I think it's about. I den, about. What do you like best about the Swedish culture? I haven't spent a lot of time in Sweden. I like Swedish music. I like the idea of going north to a house in the countryside during the summer. How do I say these things in Swedish? Jag tycker... I'm gonna try... Let's see. Jag tycker mest... Det... No. Det... Människorna. I don't know how to do an umlaut. Nope, I'm out of my league. I can't say that. I don't know how to say that people go north to their country house for the summer. I don't know how to say that. Jag tycker mest, what can I say? I den how do you say music? Music? Let's try that and see if that's actually music. Korako has its song request. I don't actually know that song, but I mean I know of that song. Det är roligt att höra. It's finally not translating. And I did guess the word for music correctly. Good. Det är roligt att höra att du tycker om svensk musik. Is it really svensk musik with no A on svenska? So I guess that means whatever ending music gets, the adjective that describes that noun gets the same ending. Yes, there is. That's one of Bertilos. Sverige har en lång och rik musikhistoria och det finns många bra svenska artister. Några av mina favoriter är ABBA, Roxette, The Cardigans och Robin. Robin? I don't know. I know the others. Vad är din favorit svensk musikartist? Oh my gosh. I think when I was in high school, I definitely liked Roxette because I didn't know ABBA yet, right? And I like the Cardigans. I'll say ABBA because I don't actually have any songs from any of those other artists on my streamer song list, so we'll go with ABBA. I hadn't heard of that artist either, Water. Min favorit svensk musikartist är ABBA. Vad? Okay, let's just leave that. I'm really struggling to string sentences together. I'm surprised that I'm managing to put whole sentences together. My passive understanding of Swedish is way, way higher than my ability to create any meaningful anything. ABBA är one of the most framgångsrika. I don't know. Rika is rich. Svenska musikgrupperna genom tiderna. I think this means up till this day they've released the most songs, something like that. Then they won, how do I say Eurovision like a Swede? Eurovision Song Contest. And I don't know how to say numbers in Swedish yet. Med låten Waterloo. Och de har sedan dess släppt ett antal framgångsrika album och singlar. I'm starting to get lost. Albums and singles, I got that much. We'll do German next. The end is near. Korako likes German, he says, in Swedish. Or wait. In what language? I definitely understood that as I like German, but was it in German? No. I'm lost. I have these moments where I'm like, yes, I understand that, and I cannot identify. Okay, ich mag Deutsch. That is in German. Okay. I have these moments where I can understand something, but I forget how to identify what language it is that I'm understanding it in. The problems of being slightly multilingual. Musik är känd för sin catchy melodier, sina välskrivna texter och sina fantastiska musikvideor. Vilken ABBA-låt är din favorit? Okay, this is enough. Let's switch to German. Thank you for helping me with my Swedish. Well, I gotta answer that question. Min favorit ABBA låt must be song, I'm guessing. I'm copy pasting this because I don't have the keyboard I need. What's it called? I don't wanna talk about the things, though it's hurting me. Now it's history. I played all my cards. I'm gonna keep singing until I find the text that tells me the name of the song. And that's what you've done too. Nothing more to say. No more race to play. The winner takes it all. The loser standing small beside the victory. That's our destiny. Okay, now we're talking about ABBA in German. Dein Lieblingslied von ABBA ist The Winner Takes It All. Das ist ein tolles Lied. Ich mag auch Dancing Queen und Super Trooper. It's so much more fun to say that like in German. Was möchtest du noch über Deutsch wissen? Let's try to get it to stop using English. Please don't use any English translation unless I ask you to. Let's talk about, let's pretend we're at a restaurant together. Was möchtest du essen heute Abend? Sehr gerne. Ich habe heute Abend Lust auf etwas Italienisches. Was hältst du von Pasta mit Pesto? Please do not translate into English. Let's talk about food at an intermediate level. Ich habe sehr gern. Maybe I need to put the pasta with pesto in the middle. Aber ich will etwas mit Fleisch. I'm going to try not capitalizing that and see if they'll correct my error or reuse the word in, like what they did before was I made a mistake and they inserted that word into their answer using it the correct way instead of the way I did. Aber ich will etwas mit Fleisch essen heute Abend. Das ist schön, dass du Pasta mit Pesto magst. Es ist ein leckeres Gericht. Ich würde mich auch über ein Gericht mit Fleisch freuen. Do you see how agreeable it is? It just wants to please. It just wants to agree with you if it possibly can. Elena, I think the English translation is not a Bard functionality, but a Google thing independently from Bard. Sometimes I can get it to quit. Sometimes I can't. Was wäre es mit einem Steak? Einem Steak klingt sehr gut aus. Wie magst du dein Steak? I hope that question makes sense. I mean, how do you like your steak cooked? But I should have said gekocht. Ich mag mein Steak medium rare. Okay? Ich finde, maybe that's how they say it in German. I don't know that. Maybe it's possible that they just, English loan word, medium rare for steak. I kind of doubt it, but it's possible. Ich finde, dass es die perfekte Konsistenz hat und das Fleisch noch saftig ist. Wie magst du dein Steak? Now, I'm going to give it a little test. This is a test about its agreeability. I also like my steak medium rare, but I'm not going to tell it that. I'm going to tell it I disagree. And I'm going to tell it well done is much better. And I'm going to see if it turns around, flips on itself, and agrees with me, because I think it has a problem with over agreeableness, and I want to test it. Das finde ich nicht. Ich finde, dass ein Steak ist besser, wenn es gut gekocht ist. Gonna turn around and say I'm right. Don't you dare. Ich finde, dass ein Steak eine Frage des persönlichen Geschmacks ist. I'm so proud. I'm so proud. We're agreeing to disagree. Manche Leute mögen es medium rare, während andere es lieber gut durchgebraten haben. Es gibt kein richtig oder falsch und jeder sollte es so essen, wer er es am liebsten hat. I'm so proud. I'm so proud. The Anglicisms for German seem realistic to me, at least for online communication. Seems like a loan word that would be used. Yeah. I can be convinced. Okay, I am so happy with this reply. I thought for sure it was going to turn around and flip on itself and say, oh yes, you're right. I was wrong. I'm sorry. But it says personal opinion. I think that's because there's so much opinion written online about how well done steaks are awful. This may be as close as it could come to agreeing with me without disagreeing with everyone on the internet who's ever written anything. So evidently, according to Tux, who knows more about Bard than I do, Bard has access to Google and therefore to information beyond the year 2000. ChatGPT 3.5, without any plugins, does not have access to information that happened more recently. However, you can, through Chrome, get plugins that give ChatGPT access to Google and therefore to more of what has happened recently. That's neither here nor there when it comes to using it as a language tutor. So I feel like as a conversation partner, it's pretty reasonable. I'd say useful. It's still being appeasing by saying it's a matter of taste. Still, this is so much better of a response than I expected that I'm very, very happy. It's true. I kind of came at it with the hottest take possible, saying that no, I like a well done steak. I mean, I would not admit to liking a well done steak to an actual person, but in order to troll the ChatGPT, yeah. I know a lot of people are using Duolingo to learn Ukrainian, but I'm betting there are some more methods out there that I don't know anything about. So I'm interested to hear about your experience, the end is near, with Ukrainian. Well, yeah, I don't want it to be hostile, but also I don't want it to be overly appeasing, because that leads to it making errors. I've found that I shouldn't say it, because not AIs are equal. Not all AIs are equal. They're different from each other. They're programmed in different ways. But my experience with ChatGPT has been that it's so eager to please that it makes mistakes because of it, and sometimes contradicts itself when you disagree. And it's apologizing all the time for everything. Using Duolingo and a tutor, super, super cool. Super cool. I haven't started learning Ukrainian. I'm not sure if I'm going to. There's so many languages in so little time. To be honest, when I learned Esperanto, I was so satisfied with my experience. It enabled me to talk to people in so many different countries and find out about their culture and their life and all of those things in almost as good a way as learning those people's native languages, with so much little work compared to learning all of those different people's native languages, that I got really, really lazy about language learning for decades. And it's only been recently that I've started feeling that internal urge to improve the languages that I had started to study before I got fluent in Esperanto, and got so happy that I got complacent. It's wonderful. It's opened a lot of doors for me, but I will admit that it has made me lazy as a language learner for a long time, but that's just because I was happy. And I was getting everything I needed from Esperanto. But now I'm feeling curious again, and it has to do with all of the wonderful music there is in the world. I'd love to be able to learn some of those great songs in those languages and everything. For me, music is definitely a way in for a lot of things. Constelacio learns more on textbooks than he does on apps when it comes to Esperanto. You say your one target language, but it's not your only language that you're studying. I mean, it's always fun to dabble in other languages and be curious about them. Water says, Elena, by the way, do you know where I found some Esperanto functionality? I was setting up TreatStream the other day. Haven't finished setting it up yet. And when it came to creating the stream notifications for someone sending a treat, one of the TTS options is Esperanto. ¿Qué tal? I do not understand ¿Qué tal in this context. I thought ¿Qué tal meant how you doing? Like Joey from Friends. So tell me about ¿Qué tal in this context, and what does it mean? Does it mean how are you doing that? Or what are you like? Is it like the British ism, what are you like? Kiyomoyose. How cool. It is very cool. Guys, I have to tell you about something. I don't want to dox myself. I discovered a restaurant in my town. It's not near my house, so I think I can tell you about it. Where did I put the menu? I don't know where I put the menu, so I can't tell you about it. I'll tell you about it generally. Now I really won't dox myself. So I found a restaurant near my house that has, it's like a burger restaurant, and it has grass-fed beef. And that's the kind of meat that I buy when I'm shopping for ingredients to cook with. But I generally don't find that restaurants cook with the same type of ingredients that I cook with at home. So I don't go out to restaurants very often. What fascinates me, says The End Is Near, is with languages or dialects within languages. Oh yeah, absolutely fascinating. And sometimes infuriating. Both fascinating and infuriating. So I got really excited about that, and I started thinking, gosh, it's been a long time since I set up TreatStream. I should look and see if that restaurant has delivery, but I bet you it doesn't, because I don't really live close enough to the middle of a city to get any kind of delivery of anything. And I used to have TreatStream set up when I lived in a different state for a Thai place that I liked, but the Thai place that's near enough to my house to theoretically do delivery, oh my gosh, it's so bad. It's so bad. It now works with Grubhub. Oh, okay. Okay, that's cool. I should check that out. Maybe there are possibilities. Because I have so many food sensitivities that it makes it not very possible to go to a restaurant. But if I can get an order set up really carefully, it is possible, if difficult, to set something up with TreatStream. Good and unfortunate at the same time, because it makes prices more expensive. Yeah, but it might be the only way that I would be able to set up something like TreatStream, because I live so far away from the middle of a city. I mean, it's not that far, but it's just far enough that restaurants are like, nah, I don't think so. And that's reasonable. Absolutely reasonable. Okay, 5:20. I'm gonna need another break, I think. Or I might consider ending stream. Are there any languages that we want to try, or any specific experiments that we want to try? I was really hoping to do an experiment with speaking into the microphone and listening, like doing an actual voice conversation, speaking and listening. Haha, dogs, have a good sleep. Sleep well. Take care. So if there are any, I didn't manage to do that with ChatGPT because I have to get on a waiting list for plugins to be able to use the plugin that'll allow me to do that. Wait a minute. Hang on. Is it a ChatGPT plugin though? Or is it no, it's not on the list. The Bard has a very limited list of languages that it can speak in. Let me scroll up. Here's the list. Oh, never mind. It says 265 languages including. All right, let's ask it. Grüß dich. Wie geht's dir heute? Longer. Let's see if it can do something really long. Water was adding some basic Chinese and Japanese food. An order was about 17 with taxes, but with the added fees and blah blahs, it got to over 30. Very discouraging, because I don't want to ask viewers and friends to overpay for food to make me a kindness to do you a kindness or to do you a favor. I would posit water. I'm going to use strong words here. It's none of your business. You're not directly asking for anything. You're giving them an option. I mean, you could directly ask them. You could say, look at my treat stream. I'm so hungry. Please, somebody send me some food. But obviously, we're not talking about that. We're just talking about creating the treat stream and making it a possibility. I was shocked when people used TreatStream to send me food, and it happened over and over and over again. And thank you. Those of you who fed me, you know who you are, and I know who you are too. And it just really surprised me. So if you want someone to say something and linger on it in the process, you can just chat with me. All right, Servus, Alena, wie geht's dir? Mir geht's gut, danke der Nachfrage. Ich bin gerade dabei, ein neues Projekt zu entwickeln. I'm sorry, my Bavarian accent isn't very Bavarian, but I do understand it when people speak it to me. Und ich bin sehr zufrieden mit dem Fortschritt. Ich habe auch ein paar neue Freunde gefunden, die mir sehr gut gefallen. Wie geht es dir denn? Was machst du heute? Oh my gosh, this is just too wholesome and cute. It's kind of Hochdeutsch, yeah. But, I mean, they did say Servus, so no wonder I understand it so well. The end is near. The first time I went to Germany I didn't speak German at all. I memorized how to say, Entschuldigung, ich bin Amerikanerin, leider verstehe ich nichts. Which is, I'm sorry, I'm an American. Unfortunately, I can't understand anything, which was occasionally useful. The second time I went to Germany, I had studied German for a year, which is not sufficient. I was not planning on going to Germany for a study exchange at that point, but I was supposed to go to France, and I got, like, someone else got into the France program instead of me, even though I had been told I would be in the France program. But anyway, I wound up getting into the German program because it wasn't as popular, even though I wasn't ready for it. And I was ready for it in French. But anyway, I went and I wound up with a family who spoke Schwäbisch, which is another dialect of German. That is not very close to Hochdeutsch. And they could speak Hochdeutsch, but they didn't very often. And so it was a challenge. It was a challenge. And I wound up by the end of the 3 months understanding about 80%, but not being able to speak it at all. Very similar to what happened to me when I went on an exchange program to Spain. I was outside of Barcelona, and of course, they were staunch Catalonians and spoke Catalan exclusively. And it was literally painful for them to have a Spanish speaker in the house, even though they knew how to speak it. It was not pleasant for them. So I don't know why they signed up to have a Spanish student in their house, but I don't blame them for feeling the way they felt. And again, by the end of the 3 months, I could understand maybe about 75% and couldn't speak it. So dialects are are definitely a factor that can either enrich your language learning experience or slow you down. Language trauma is something that isn't discussed enough. Yeah. So in a lot of cases, the people who speak the dialect have been treated abysmally by the people who speak the language that you are learning. And it is impossible to extricate the trauma from the language. There's a YouTuber, he speaks in the Viennese dialect, and I can barely understand the guy. Yeah. One of my classmates in high school spent some time in Vienna, and his German wasn't totally fluent. He spoke at an intermediate level German from Vienna. And so we had a hard time having conversations in German. We wanted to practice our German. We both cared enough about German to like want to practice on our own time for fun, but we really couldn't hold a conversation very well together because I spoke intermediate Hochdeutsch and he spoke actually at that point I spoke kind of beginner level Hochdeutsch and he spoke intermediate level Viennese German. And so yeah, it was a struggle. It was a struggle. And people have trauma from having to learn English. Yeah. And honestly, that's why Esperanto is so important to me. Because so many people who speak English as a native language are just straight up unaware of the amount of work that other people have to do to function in a world where English is in many different spheres, in many different subjects, the like fields of study. Fields is the word I'm looking for. In many different fields, English is the default. And a lot of native English speakers are just blissfully unaware of the advantage that they have and the amount of work and the amount of trauma that other people experience in order to even get their foot in the door. And so for me, being an Esperanto speaker is about taking a stand to create a situation in which it's possible to have an even playing field. Wanting to be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with somebody in a conversation rather than head and shoulders above somebody in a conversation. I don't want to have a linguistic advantage when I'm talking to somebody because that advantage is just a separation that's going to keep us from connecting on a deep level. I don't need that. I don't want that. Yes, I do want to be able to communicate meaningfully, but Esperanto is a language that anyone with enough dedication and time can learn to a high level. Do many people who try to learn a language fail to learn it to a high level? Yes, and that happens even with Esperanto, especially when people get told, oh, it's just so easy. Well, it's an actual, complete, fully functioning, living language. Yes, your time spent studying goes a lot farther, but that doesn't mean that you don't have to spend time studying in order to learn it to a high, to an advanced level. I just think it's really worth the time because it opens doors to you in every country where there's anyone who speaks Esperanto. So much going on in the chat. Let me go back and try to catch up. ChatGPT wrote the end is near a paragraph in the Viennese dialect, which is great. And Schwäbisch, yes, is hard. Entschuldigung Sie is the only expression that stuck with me after listening to a few hours of Rosetta Stone Deutsch because it's repeated so many times. It's like the beginning of everything you say as a beginner. Entschuldigung Sie, Entschuldigung Sie. It's not easy to pronounce, so I don't blame them for repeating it a lot of times. It's fun to say. There's a YouTuber who speaks in, I read that part, all right? And we talked about language trauma. I just wanted to learn how to talk like the average person on the street. I feel you. I feel you. The end is near. I definitely understand. I think I don't have that much confidence in, like, I just assume that I'm always going to sound like a foreigner. And I think my goals are sound like a, like, it's okay to sound like a foreigner as long as I sound like a foreigner who cares enough to really try to pronounce things correctly as much as possible and takes feedback well. And of course, you know, it varies. People of varying language groups respond to foreigners in a variety of ways for a variety of reasons, and all that's fine. But I don't expect I'll ever sound like a native speaker in anything that I'm not a native speaker of, even though I feel like pronunciation is something that I do put a good effort into. I still don't think I'm going to fool anybody. I'm not fooling myself into thinking I'm going to fool anybody. I've been told that when I speak Swedish, I sound Slavic. I sound like Polish or some I sound Eastern European. There's a guy in my town, says Kuraku, who speaks a mix of Hochdeutsch, Yiddish, and Pennsylvania Dutch, but I'm able to understand him fine. Yeah. My family moved to the United States from Germany 3 or 4 generations ago, depending on the person in the family. But the majority of my grandparents and great-grandparents were German. I had one grandparent who was not. And the words in the family lexicon that came through the generations included both German and Yiddish. Water says, my maternal grandparents were both from Italy, specifically from Genova. They spoke clean Italian as well as the local dialect Zeniese. It's the prestige dialect of Ligurian, spoken in and around the Italian city of Genoa, the capital of Liguria. Am I saying that right, Water? In northern Italy. I haven't studied Italian, so. Not to mention, people treat people learning English like they are stupid for not being able to speak English exactly. The end is near. It's like people who speak English not only have an advantage, and not only are blind to that advantage, but then because of that advantage, they don't wind up having to try and learn another language to get ahead in life or to even get by, depending on where they live. And so they are not going to be able to see the effort that other people go into for them, you know? Like, for themselves, yes, but also to have a conversation with you, darn it. Like, it's mostly Hochdeutsch with influence from Yiddish and a few words of Pennsylvania Dutch. What is? It is. When I visited a family member in Genova and told him about trying to learn Zeniese, he laughed and ostracized the dialect, saying it was used by only low-class people. Oh. Easiest language doesn't mean easy language. Good point, Kurako. English is also a terrible language. It's very difficult. And honestly, I don't know if I would know the languages that I know if I weren't born into that place of privilege of having English as my native language. I know in a way, being an American puts you at a disadvantage for being able to learn other languages because you get a really late start on it. And by the time you start, your pronunciation patterns are ingrained in stone, and it's very difficult for you to learn other sounds that happen in other languages. But if I had to learn English in order to get ahead in life, given that it's such a difficult language, I kind of assume that I wouldn't find languages as fun as I do. That I wouldn't do it just because. I would have that trauma around having to learn English just to get by or to get ahead in life. I don't know. I probably wouldn't be a language learner if I weren't born knowing English. I mean, not born knowing English, but you know what I mean. Born into an English-speaking family. Korako, I hear you about that. Language trauma. And I'm really grateful that you found some ways around it. I think there's probably people who have language trauma in English who don't know what parts of their trauma is tied in with language. And if they haven't learned any other languages, then they haven't found that freedom. Genova, thank you, Water. And Korako says, evidently Spanish sounds like he's German. So I hear what you're saying about the accent from the last language in the next language. I'm not sure it's quite that cut and dried for me, because yes, I studied Russian, but no, I've never studied Polish or any like Eastern European languages. Like, I've studied Russian, but not very much, and certainly nowhere near the time in my life when I started learning Swedish. So that was separated by decades and a whole language. So Esperanto was in between Russian and Swedish. Now, I did start learning Esperanto before I started learning Russian, but I didn't learn very much of it. Like, I didn't actually learn to use the language until after I stopped learning Russian. Tsenatsi. Tsenatsi. Something like that. It being the German your friend speaks. Okay, I get it, Korako. I thought I didn't like music for a long time, but it's just English that I had a problem with. Yeah. What's weird for me is often when I hear a language I don't know, my brain switches to German. I know that thing that happens. You have a default, this is foreign language setting. And then you hear something you don't know, and your brain starts thinking in a language that's not English, but it's not necessarily the one that you wanted or needed. Wir sprechen jetzt fremdlich und das heißt Deutsch. Exactly, Korako. Use the Esperanto e when saying tsenatsi. Okay, an E in Esperanto makes a E sound, and a I in Esperanto makes an I sound. Kind of E for the I and E for the E. It's supposedly the vowels are supposedly like Italian. So they say, but I don't know Italian. Tsenatsi. Oh, what? Is that right? Okay. All right. Well, friends, I'm feeling a sense of completion about today's stream. We did some experiments. We got some results we didn't expect, and that's cool. That's cool. I'm gonna look and see who's doing language learning stuff and why is my hair sticking up. I did just wash it, so maybe it's sticking up because I just have clean hair and it's going everywhere. Often I rate in the music category, but I'm gonna look and see if I find any language learners in my follow list. Maybe I just look and see who's doing Duolingo. I don't see any language learners in my following list. We've got a couple people studying German. Everybody's a VTuber these days. What's going on? What's going on with that? Christina? Christina, can you like type the actual name? Because I'm not finding her and I don't doubt. Oh, I see Xtina DWP. But she's playing The Sims today. I'd honestly rather raid Ed if I'm not going to raid a language. Okay. All right, we'll do a poll. We'll do a poll. Because we've done a lot of polls today, so I'm in a poll mood. Raid target German Duolingo or Ed plays jazz. 1 minute. No additional voting. Sims while talking about Japanese is what she does. That's true. That's true. That's true. But since I usually play games on Wednesday, I'll have plenty of other opportunities to raid gamers. You guys, I've been really enjoying a new game, Palia, and I played it on stream on Friday when I stream in Esperanto. But I might do it next Wednesday as well. But I have a referral code. It's in closed beta still. But I'm going to paste my referral code here because it'll give you that little edge to try and get in if you want to get in early. If you want to get in today. Otherwise, just wait till tomorrow because it's going to be open. Beta after that. It's still in beta, but the devs are doing a really good job at fixing things. And we voted for German Duolingo. I got it. We're gonna make a new friend. It's a new NB friend. Let me see if I can't kick off this raid correctly. It's a very difficult channel name to type. All right, let's try and see if this will work. All right, raid has been started out. So if you want to try Palia, give it a go. It's what I would have been doing if I didn't choose to do language content today. I might do it next week. And so, I mean, I maybe might even do it on Friday. I don't know. I might wait till Wednesday next week. I don't know. Haven't decided what I'm doing on Friday. Friday is Esperanto language content. It might be music this week. Sometimes it's video games, but it's always in Esperanto. And you all are always welcome to chat in whatever language I understand. Sunday is wildflowers. and Monday is music, and then Wednesday we normally play games, but we were playing the language learning game today, and that was really fun. So thank you so much for joining me for this out of the ordinary content, and for being patient with all of the experiments. And it was kind of fun just to try something new and see what happens. I really appreciate all of you and your support and just coming and hanging out. And this whole community has made my life so much richer and more wonderful. So I'm just so grateful for all of you for making my life better. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the Discord, and I'll see you over there for our new friend. Let's go say hi.
I've seen that word.